You are lied to every single day. They tell you to be kind, to be gentle, to be patient. But kindness is often a leash and patience is a cage for the weak. True confidence is not found in smiling approval. It is forged in silence, in resistance, in the art of denying validation. This is the dark confidence Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Dark confidence is not about arrogance or loud declarations. It is about restraint, about mastering the power of appearing untouchable. The world respects what it cannot bend, not what it can flatter. When you walk into a room, the world measures you instantly. It asks, are you desperate to be seen or dangerous enough to be noticed? The desperate fidget, the dangerous remain still. Machiavelli knew that people obey fear more than love, but fear doesn't always mean terror. It means respect for your limits. It means others sensing you cannot be swayed cheaply. Confidence that is bright and loud can be destroyed. Confidence that is dark and silent becomes immortal because no one knows where it begins or ends. Dark confidence means never explaining too much. The moment you explain yourself, you kneel. The moment you justify, you beg for approval. People hate what they cannot read. That is why silence terrifies them more than insults, and that is why Machiavelli insisted, conceal your intentions. To conceal is not cowardice, it is strategy. It is leaving others in the shadows while you see clearly in the light. It is the chess master who smiles while the opponent guesses blindly. Most men believe that confidence is loudness. They believe it is flexing strength, wealth, or charm, but that is a mask that cracks the moment it is tested. Dark confidence does not perform, it endures. It creates the aura of inevitability, as if you are destined to win. Do you know why enemies hesitate? It is not because you are the strongest, it is because they doubt themselves. Needing applause, you win twice. You free yourself from the addiction of validation. And you enslave others who crave your recognition. This is why the ruler who is feared walks alone, because those who walk with crowds are secretly owned by them. And those who stand apart appear larger than life. Machiavelli warned, men are fickle, weak, ungrateful. If your confidence rests in their hands, it will collapse in theirs. But if it rests in your own silence, it can never be stolen. Dark confidence is self-sufficiency disguised as mystery. It is not shouting, I don't care. It is living in such a way that everyone else sees you truly don't. Consider the lion and the fox, Machiavelli's symbols of power. The lion roars, but the fox endures silently, weaving traps. Dark confidence is the fox's smirk, not the lion's roar. Because in a world of noise, silence dominates. The man who speaks less makes every word heavier. The man who restrains reveals that his strength is bottomless. You must learn to endure their stares without explaining. You must master the pause that unsettles the room. That pause is worth more than 1,000 justifications. People are addicted to clarity, to labels, to explanations, but the one who refuses clarity becomes magnetic. He forces others to obsess, to wonder, to overthink, and that is the secret. Mystery creates control. When you explain nothing, others imagine everything, and in their imagination, you become larger than life. Dark confidence thrives in discomfort, because the weak crumble in silence, but the strong grow louder without words. The silence itself becomes your ally. This is why rulers cultivate distance, not because they hate people, but because they rule people best from afar. Familiarity breeds contempt, distance breeds fear. If you wish to rise, you must detach from constant sharing. Every detail you reveal is a weapon to be feared than loved. But in personal power, it is better to be unreadable than predictable. Because unreadable men cannot be cornered. Predictable men are puppets. They move on strings pulled by flattery, insults, or rewards. But unreadable men force the world to bend to their rhythm. Dark confidence means playing the long game. While others crave recognition today, you plant roots for tomorrow. While they rush to be liked, you remain unbothered, untouchable. And then comes the shift. Suddenly, they chase you. The silence they once mocked now becomes the mystery they crave. Your detachment becomes their obsession. Confidence built on applause dies when the applause fades. Confidence built in silence endures when the world forgets your name. Because true confidence is internal, not external. When you do not need them, they want you. When you do not chase, they beg to be caught. That is the Machiavellian paradox of dark confidence. So let me ask you, why do you explain yourself so much? Why do you hope they'll understand, approve, or forgive? Don't you see that each explanation lowers you? The man of dark confidence explains nothing. He lets the silence burn, lets the mystery spread. He lets the world fight among themselves to interpret him. Because power is not about convincing, it is about controlling the frame. And nothing controls the frame like silence and mystery. Even in relationships, dark confidence is irresistible. Because the man who does not need love becomes the most desired. The one who can walk away owns the one who cannot. This is why Machiavelli's words echo centuries later. Because human nature hasn't changed, and the tactics of power remain the same. Dark confidence is not given, it is built. It is built in rejection, in solitude, in being misunderstood. It is built when you choose silence over explanation, and when you build it, people will sense it instantly. They won't know why they hesitate around you, but they will know you are not like the rest. That is the aura of Machiavellian confidence. Not light, dark confidence is not built in the spotlight. It is carved in the shadows, in the nights when no one believes in you. It is born from rejection, sharpened by betrayal, and perfected in solitude. When the world ignores you, most people beg louder. But the Machiavellian mind grows quieter, colder, and harder. The silence becomes a shield, and the rejection becomes fuel for dominance. Confidence that needs applause is fragile. The moment the clapping stops, it collapses into insecurity. But confidence that is built in isolation has no audience to destroy it. Machiavelli would say that men reveal themselves in scarcity. When denied recognition, the weak crumble, but the strong forge power in their solitude. Scarcity is the anvil where dark confidence is hammered. You must understand this. Power is perception. People do not bow to reality, they bow to the appearance of strength. And nothing appears stronger than a man who seems unshakable in silence. This silence is not emptiness, it is weaponized restraint. Every word withheld forces others to fill the void with imagination. And their imagination often grants you more power than the truth ever could. Consider the courtroom of daily life where everyone argues to prove themselves right. The Machiavellian does not argue, he simply waits. In waiting, he turns the silence into judgment, and the crowd grows uneasy. This unease is crucial, for fear and respect are born because they remain unmoved. The king does not justify his crown, he wears it silently. His existence is his explanation. Machiavelli advised rulers to avoid being too familiar with their subjects. Familiarity destroys reverence, while mystery feeds awe. The same applies to you. Distance is not weakness, it is sovereignty. The man of dark confidence does not beg to be known. He lets others see fragments, hints, and glimpses, but never the full truth. The hunger to know him grows into obsession. Obsession is power. When people think of you in your absence, you own them. When they replay your silence, your pauses, your unreadable expressions, you are already engraved in their minds. To cultivate this aura, you must control what you reveal. Every detail is a weapon, every piece of vulnerability a chain. To share everything is to disarm yourself before the battle begins. The man of dark confidence never plays all his cards. He allows curiosity to build around him, creating tension. This tension keeps others leaning in, waiting, needing what he may or may not give. This withholding is not cruelty, it is strategy. By giving less, you force others to give more. By holding silence, you make their voices louder, and in their noise, they reveal themselves fully. Machiavelli would call this leverage. The less you reveal, the more they must assume. The more they assume, the more they bind themselves to their illusions of you. And illusions are stronger than truth. Dark confidence requires you to embrace solitude as a throne, not a prison. Weak men dread being alone because it exposes their emptiness. Strong men use solitude to polish their weapons of mind and spirit. Your enemies will test you, waiting for cracks in your composure. They will provoke, insult, and attack your identity. But the man of dark confidence knows that silence itself is the deadliest retaliation. Because silence is never neutral, it is always interpreted. If you answer with words, you give clarity. But if you answer with silence, you create storms in their minds. They destroy themselves imagining your response. This is the Machiavellian brilliance, using their own minds as a battlefield. While they waste energy speculating about you, you remain untouched. They drain themselves fighting shadows you never even created. Understand this. The man who cannot be provoked owns the one who always reacts. Because provocation is control and reaction is submission, but detachment makes you ungovernable. This detachment is not indifference, it is dominance over emotion. To care too much is to expose weakness. To care too little is to invite chaos. The balance is to care strategically, never sentimentally. Dark confidence is not coldness for the sake of cruelty. It is warmth withheld until it has value. It is control over generosity, giving affection or approval only when it serves your design. In relationships, this is why detachment is magnetic. The man who can walk away terrifies those who cannot. Dependence breeds desperation, but independence breeds power. Machiavelli knew that people admire what they cannot own. When you cannot be caged by love, approval, or reward, you become untouchable. Your very distance makes you the prize. Every empire is built on scarcity. Gold is valuable because it is rare. Your words, your time, your attention, make them scarce and they become currency. Make them abundant and they become worthless. This is the art of dark confidence, learning to become rare in a world addicted to noise. Rare men are pursued, studied, and envied. Common men are ignored, forgotten, and discarded. To live this way, you must kill the hunger to always be seen. The hunger itself is weakness, and predators smell it instantly. True confidence does not chase, it waits. When you wait, others reveal themselves. Their impatience exposes their motives, their words betray their secrets. And in their rush, they hand you control over the entire game. The Machiavellian never hurries, because urgency is the language of the desperate. The one who is calm while others panic becomes the natural leader. Calm is not passive, it is terrifying. Because calm in chaos signals control, it signals that you know something they do not. It turns you into the eye of the storm, the stillness that unsettles everyone else. Dark confidence is this calm. It is the refusal to be dragged into the frenzy of others. It is the discipline of stillness when the world screams for reaction, and this calm makes others dependent. They look to you when they feel lost because you do not shake when they tremble. You become the silent pillar that they secretly worship. This worship is not asked for, it is taken, because reverence flows naturally to those who do not seek it. And that is why dark confidence does not pursue followers. It creates them. Followers are born when mystery collides with strength. They crave to know what you are thinking, to understand what you are planning, and in that craving they elevate you above themselves. You must learn to resist the temptation of overexposure. Modern weakness is constant visibility. Everyone shows everything, speaks everything, shares everything. But what is common loses all power. The Machiavellian hides in plain sight. He gives glimpses without truth, signals without confession. He makes people believe they know him, but they never do, and in their ignorance he rules. This is the essence of dark confidence. It thrives not in being understood, but in being misread. To be misread means you control the story they write about you, and to control the story is to control reality. When you are unreadable, you are untouchable. When you are untouchable, you are unforgettable, and when you are unforgettable, you are immortal in the minds of men. Dark confidence begins where ordinary confidence dies, at the moment of humiliation. When others shrink under shame, the Machiavellian transforms it into armor. He wears rejection like steel, turning weakness into silent superiority. The man who fears humiliation begs to be accepted, but begging enslaves him. The man who embraces humiliation rises untouchable, because nothing can break him again. His scars are signals of strength, not wounds of defeat. You must learn to weaponize rejection instead of fleeing from it. Every insult, every doubt, every betrayal is fuel for your rise. The silence with which you carry them terrifies those who threw them. Machiavelli understood this psychological paradox well. People attack expecting reaction, and when none comes, they collapse. Your silence is not weakness. It is the victory that drains your enemy's energy. The man of dark confidence walks as if he is already conquered. Even when surrounded by doubt, he moves with inevitability. People believe in him not because he speaks, but because he does not flinch. Confidence that glows too brightly invites envy, and envy creates enemies. But confidence cloaked in shadow creates mystery, and mystery builds legends. The world bows to stories it cannot fully explain. This is why kings wore crowns, not explanations. Symbols spoke for them, while their silence multiplied the effect. The fewer their words, the greater the reverence in the minds of their subjects. Symbols, silence, and scarcity. These are the tools of dark confidence. To wield them properly, you must refuse to make yourself cheap. Your presence must feel earned, never granted freely. People do not value what is abundant. They consume it and forget. But what way your restraint makes your confidence lethal? Machiavelli insisted that a ruler must appear strong even when uncertain. Appearance is reality in politics, and it is reality in life. The man who projects calmness rules those who panic. Your aura must whisper, "I cannot be rushed." When others lose composure, your stillness becomes divine. That stillness is what convinces them you are more than they are. But beware of arrogance, for arrogance shatters the illusion. True, dark confidence does not boast, because boasting reveals insecurity. The strongest lions walk silently, because the silence proves their strength. The weak try to convince with words, but the strong convince with silence. When you refuse to explain yourself, you declare yourself untouchable. They may not like it, but they cannot ignore it. This refusal to explain is not ignorance, it is deliberate warfare. Every justification is a confession of weakness, proof you need approval. Dark confidence thrives on indifference to both praise and blame. You must study the art of unpredictability. When they expect your smile, give them silence. When they expect rage, give them calmness. This refusal to be predictable makes you ungovernable. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but boldness must be masked in strategy. The fool shouts his boldness, the wise man lets it leak slowly. Mystery wrapped around action creates legend. You cannot control what people say about you, but you can control their confusion. Confusion is power because it keeps them guessing, and as long as they guess, they are ruled by your shadow. The man who is too clear becomes too easy to destroy. The man who is too open becomes too easy to cage. But the man of mystery is impossible to attack because he cannot be defined. Dark confidence thrives on this undefinable presence. The moment they believe they have figured you out, you shift. You are water, adapting shape, yet always ungraspable in their hands. Silence, mystery, and distance are not passive states, they are weapons. Each pause, each unanswered question, each withheld truth sharpens your aura. And that aura becomes more feared than the truth itself. Machiavelli would remind you that men are selfish and short-sighted. They follow strength, but they follow mystery longer. Because mystery feeds their imagination, and imagination enslaves them. If you wish to lead, do not fight for love is fragile. Do not fight for constant fear, for fear invites rebellion. Rule with unreadable confidence, and you will never be dethroned. This is why tyrants are forgotten, but enigmas live forever. The tyrant forces obedience with terror, but terror fades when he dies. The enigmatic man is remembered because no one ever understood him. Dark confidence is the art of leaving questions unanswered. It is better to let them wonder who you are than to tell them. Because the moment you tell them, the mystery dies. The strongest prison is not bars, but curiosity. When people cannot stop thinking about you, they imprison themselves. And that prison gives you control without lifting a finger. To achieve this, you must master self-control beyond ordinary limits. Do not speak everything you know. Do not reveal every plan. The part of you they cannot see is the part they will chase. Machiavelli taught that concealment is not cowardice, but strategy. To show your heart openly is to offer it for slaughter. To keep it hidden is to keep it indestructible. Every man you meet is searching for weakness in you. They disguise it as curiosity, kindness, or intimacy. But every piece of truth you give them is a weapon they can turn. The man of dark confidence knows this and resists. He smiles, he listens, he nods, but he reveals nothing. And in that refusal, he gains everything. They will hate you for your silence because it denies them power. They will despise your calmness because it denies them control. and yet they will admire you secretly because they can not break you. This blend of hate and admiration is essential for power. Pure love makes you soft, pure fear makes you brittle, but the mixture of both makes you unforgettable and unshakable. Dark confidence is not a pose. It is survival elevated into art. It is forged by enduring scorn, betrayal, and loneliness without breaking. It is tested in storms and proven in silence. When you learn this, you no longer chase outcomes. You no longer beg to be understood, forgiven, or celebrated. You walk forward knowing that mystery itself to images of strength. Your silence allows them to build the story themselves. And the story they build is always larger than the truth you would tell. Their imagination exaggerates your power, your skill, your depth. They make you more than human because they cannot measure you. This exaggeration is your greatest ally, for they will fear you more than necessary, respect you more than deserved. They will cage themselves with illusions you never even crafted. But to sustain this, you must learn balance. Too much silence becomes suspicion. Too much distance becomes coldness. The art lies in giving just enough to keep the fire alive. Think of it as feeding a flame. Too much fuel smothers it. Too little extinguishes it. But steady, scarce offerings keep the fire eternal and your aura alive. The man of dark confidence knows when to step forward and when to vanish. He knows when to speak a single word that echoes for days, and then he disappears again, leaving minds restless in his absence. Absence itself is a weapon sharper than presence, for presence satisfies curiosity, but absence multiplies it. In absence, you grow larger than you ever could in flesh. Machiavelli himself lived in exile, yet his name endured stronger than his enemies. Why? Because absence turned him into myth, and myth is immortal. His silence screamed louder than his voice. Dark confidence is not about dominating moments, but dominating memory. Not about winning every battle, but being remembered as undefeatable. Legacy belongs not to the loud, but to the unreadable. You must practice this in your own life, in every interaction. Speak less, reveal less, explain less. Each withheld truth strengthens the myth of who you are. People will label you cold, arrogant, or ruthless, but these are gifts. Every label they throw is a reflection of their weakness, not yours. The more they misread you, the more you control the story. Control the story, and you control the frame of reality itself. Reality bends to those who own perception, not those who own truth. And perception belongs to the man of mystery. That is why dark confidence is feared and desired in equal measure. Feared because it cannot be controlled, desired because it cannot be possessed. It is the paradox that makes you magnetic. Even in love, this truth applies without exception. The one who does not need is the one who controls. The one who can leave at any time is the one who is chaste. Never underestimate how power translates across all relationships. Whether in politics, business, or intimacy, the same rule applies. Detachment crowns the man who refuses chains. Machiavelli warned that dependence kills rulers. To depend is to be enslaved, no matter the disguise. Independence is the essence of sovereignty, and sovereignty breeds respect. Your silence, your scarcity, your calm, all are currencies. Spend them rarely and they become priceless. Spend them carelessly and they become worthless noise. This is the foundation of dark confidence. Economy of presence. Less is always more, because less multiplies value. To be scarce is to be worshipped. But there is a final step, one greater than silence or mystery. That step is inevitability, the aura that you are destined to rise. The sense that your path cannot be blocked, only delayed. This inevitability is projected through unbroken composure. Even in defeat, you walk as if victory awaits tomorrow. Even in loss, you move as if it was part of your design. People follow inevitability because it comforts their fear of chaos. They would rather submit to one, but to the performance of strength. The performance is the power. Yet dark confidence is more than performance. It is transformation. It is becoming the man who does not flinch, does not beg, does not explain. It is becoming the mystery that commands silently. This is the ending truth. People are slaves to what they cannot define. They worship what they cannot understand, and they fear what they cannot predict. So live unreadable and you will live untouchable. Live untouchable and you will live unforgettable. And live unforgettable and you will never truly die. That is the Machiavellian art of dark confidence. It is not light, not loud, not desperate, but dark, quiet, inevitable, and eternal.